Senator Schumer says he'd like to come down and senators come here to talk health care. Would you be willing to negotiate with all of them?
Thank you. Got to find out if he's serious. He hasn't been serious. Obamacare is such a disaster, such a wreck. And he wants to try and save something that's really hurting a lot of people. It's hurting a lot of people. He'd have to be very, very serious. You know, he's done a lot of talking, bad talking, and he just doesn't seem like a serious person.
Interesting. Today, that was President Trump casting doubt on the Democrats' claim that they are really willing to compromise with Republicans on this health care issue. But Democrats aren't the only hurdle. More than half a dozen Republicans currently stand against their own party. Some of the GOP are offering warnings about what might lie ahead. Watch.
Republicans ran for office in 4 elections saying that Obamacare should be repealed. They eventually amended that to say it should be repealed and replaced. Conservatives are going to feel awfully hoodwinked. They'll be held to pay if they don't pass some version of Republican health care reform.
If we don't reach agreement by Friday, is probably the end of a sole party effort for health care. Then if we don't reach by Friday, then the way forward is, as Obamacare collapses, challenge Democrats to work with us to find something better.
Joining me now, one of those Republicans standing against the bill right now, ophthalmologist and Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, good to have you with us. Welcome to the program tonight. You are sort of the outlier in that you have put out some proposals today that you yourself said sort of went over like a lead balloon, but many of them are about repealing in the truest sense and offering some real market reform here. So are you surprised that you're not getting more traction with these ideas?
Well, you know, I think there's a breakthrough idea. I spoke with the president this afternoon, and he and I kind of came up with an idea that I think is really a breakthrough. And this would be to separate this into 2 bills. One bill would be the spending bill that has the keeping Obamacare spending and a lot of things the moderates want, and the other bill would be more of a repeal bill. The repeal bill would be the budget reconciliation bill that only has a simple majority. The spending bill would be a bill that actually is something that many Democrats support, such as the S-chip program, and you put the spending requirements that many of the moderates want on one bill, and then on the other bill that's purely or more purely a repeal bill, you stick with repealing the taxes, the regulations, and some Medicaid reform. And it's a much more narrow repeal bill. And then some of the things that Republicans want that require new spending or keeping Obamacare, if they're on a separate bill, I think you can actually make both factions of the Republican Party ultimately happy with that.
So are you saying that you could basically pass this repeal bill that would kind of deny Democrats and also some of the moderates in your own party from the opportunity to retain the parts of Obamacare that you don't like?
No, they'd get it in a separate bill is what I'm saying. So there'd be a repeal bill that I think everybody could vote for. We'd repeal a certain amount of the taxes, a certain amount of the regulations, and we'd also do some Medicaid reform. But then there would be a separate bill for all the people who want more spending programs. So some of the moderates in our caucus want more spending. We could put that on a bill such as the S-chip, which is a bill that every Democrat in Congress typically supports. And if you separate the bills, I think you could actually get to a passage where you repeal on one bill and you actually have some of the replacement spending on a separate bill that is one bill that Democrats would support.
You yourself said that, you know, the proposals that you made that I mentioned when we started talking went over like a, quote, lead balloon, I think were your words. But then you said after that you spoke to the president about this possibility of splitting the bill. How much support is there for that? Have you spoken to Mitch McConnell about this idea?
Yeah, the idea has been talked about for, I think, at least a year in private, that there may be another opportunity of a separate bill that has more bipartisan support that would include some of the spending that some of the people in the Republican caucus want. And I think if you separate it into 2 bills, I think you could get this done really even by Friday. You could come to an agreement.
I mean, is this an idea that's getting traction right now? What does Mitch McConnell say about this idea? Is he saying to you, you know, yes, let's try to push this through, and I think I can get it through?
I don't want to characterize his response. I would say that I have discussed the idea with him previously and also discussed it in front of all the senators at a lunch, that basically we would have two different vehicles and that we separate the vehicles. I think it's similar to the Henry Clay Compromise of 1850. They split their bill into 4 bills and different majorities passed different parts of it. This would be sort of a bifurcation into 2 bills. The spending, which every time you add more spending, conservatives like myself don't want to vote for more spending. And so every time they add more deregulation, the moderates don't want to get rid of the regulations. So why don't we separate them into 2 bills? One is primarily a repeal bill, and the other bill is primarily a spending bill. Conservatives will, in all likelihood, like myself, oppose the second bill, but it'll be spending that the Democrats have always supported.
No, it's very interesting, and I understand. Before I let you go, because I'm out of time, do you think you could get the sort of 8 or 9 dissenting GOP votes on board with this? Can you narrow that margin to a point where it could actually pass?
Yeah, because I think there is a certain amount of repeal that everybody in the caucus is for. All 52 are for, but not all 52 are for more spending. Separate the spending, the new spending, and put it into a bill that will likely get Democrat support. I think you could get this over the finish line.
By Friday?
If you separate into 2 bills, I'm very confident we could. Let's see.
Let's see. All right, Senator, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight.
Thanks.